Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on today's show, Ford is in the news for cylinder deactivation. Now, cylinder deactivation has been around for a long time. It's basically lopping off cylinders in a large displacement engine, which will allow the vehicle to get better fuel economy. Now, the trick is Ford is doing this again, but it's in an engine that may be a little bit interesting to do cylinder deactivation because it's on their new turbocharged EcoBoost 3-cylinder engine. Yes, you heard me right. They are going to starve fuel from the number one cylinder, and they're claiming by just doing this action that this engine's going to become 6% more efficient, which really shows you the kind of hoops these manufacturers are going to jump through to gain MPGs. Now, the real deal is it's very simple to lop off the one cylinder in certain situations, not allowing it to start to use fuel inside of the engine. But Ford had to do a lot of tuning and change a lot of other parts in and around this to make the occupants and the operator of the machine to be able to not even sense the slightest little change from going to 3-cylinder to 2-cylinder. The amount of parts that were changed, the amount of tuning that had to be done is massive in scope. I'm not even going to go into the details they actually had to do to actually make this thing come out smooth as it can be, but it's a pretty impressive feat indeed. Speaking of 3-cylinders, albeit you might have to add on about 7 of them, the V10 Dodge Viper is back up for order. Yes, the last go-round of the Vipers are now available at your local Fiat Chrysler automobile dealership. Now, back in October 7th of 2016, they actually halted all ordering on these machines, mainly after getting that massive order from the one dealership for over 130 units. But the sheer fact that they were kind of running low on a lot of parts, including one of the main elements of the rear wing for the ACR and a lot of the headlight assemblies, they were running very low on these, and they actually had to come up with enough parts to fill out the orders and to do whatever existing orders. Now, FCA is yet to say how long the order book will be open, albeit that we've lost well over a month's time, in fact, nearly 2 months' time, from start to finish from when they shut down orders to starting it up again. So they may go into the ordering books into 2017, but that remains to be seen whether that's actually going to be the case. And remember, this is the last go-round for the Viper. Once these orders are shut down, it's shut down for good. Next up on the list, remember when we talked about the LaFerrari that Ferrari was going to build? In fact, the 500th version, the one that should have never been, as they were only going to build 499 of them. They built a 500th version to sell at auction for all the relief monies to go to charity, that being the Italian Earthquake Relief Fund. Well, that auction actually took place over the weekend in a big party of all things Ferrari down in Daytona Beach, Florida. And this thing went for some eye-watering money. In fact, this vehicle sold for $7 million to an undisclosed person. Now, the thing is the next day there was a lot of pundits and a lot of outlets that were talking about, is this too much? $7 million to pay for this particular machine. I'll give you a 3-pronged situation of why I think this is definitely worth the money. Number one, this is going to a relief fund for earthquake victims. This is a good money well spent indeed. The other thing is the fact that this is a Ferrari LaFerrari that should have never been. There should have never been a 500th version of this machine. And then the biggest reason, at least on the new owner's end, not for sure where this person is from or where their tax regulations is for them wherever they may reside. But if they live here in the United States, all they're going to have to do, the Internal Revenue Service, is actually show proof that they bought this LaFerrari from Ferrari for whatever Ferrari claims that it is worth, and that's what they're going to pay taxes on. Anything above that monies, meaning that if, let's say this thing, for the sake of argument, was worth $2 million, that extra $5 million is a tax write-off. So they are definitely going to get a big tax incentive as well coming into April 15th of 2017 on their taxes for the year 2016. Albeit the biggest deal is just for that earthquake relief fund. So, but I have to say, I think it's money well spent. If you had the money, it's not a bad way to do it. Next up on the list, Dodge has got a brand new fighter coming to your local dealership, and it's the new Challenger GT. Now, it looks like every other Challenger. In fact, this machine comes standard with a 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, making 305 horsepower, 268 pounds-feet of torque. That is shifted through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and the power goes to all 4 wheels. Yes, you heard me right. The new Challenger GT is all-wheel drive. And it's got a very trick center differential that'll actually lop off the power going to the front wheels, making this thing a rear-wheel drive in certain situations. Now, before you get all excited thinking there's going to be a Hemi version of this, or a Hellcat version of this, or a manual transmission version of this, that's not going to be the case. It's basically coming with the Pentastar V6 and the 8-speed automatic, at least for now. And this vehicle will be available in the United States at your local FCA dealership in January of 2017 with a starting price of $34,490. And especially if you live in some of the slipperier parts of the world in the wintertime, this might be a pretty doggone piece to have in your arsenal. Last up on the list, the old GT86 / Toyota 86. Yes, that once was the FRS, or the Scion FRS here in the United States, now become the Toyota 86. Obviously the GT86 over in Europe. Well, Autocar is reporting, and albeit you probably heard this deal before, but there is going to be a second version of this particular machine. Now, we've heard this on-again, off-again situation as far as this vehicle, but an all-new version of this thing is exciting indeed. But also, the day of the taping of this program, Toyota actually came out with a bunch of information about new powertrains that they were going to have starting off in the year 2017, moving on through the year 2021. Now, what I'm basically going to say next is not Bible truth, and basically I'm just pretty much starting a rumor here. But hear me out, because they talked about these powertrain options, one being a 2.5-liter normally aspirated 4-cylinder that's going to be going into a lot of Toyota and Lexuses coming up in the year 2017. There's going to be several different variants of that, several different variants of brand new transmissions, including a brand new 10-speed transmission. And then one of the most interesting options was a bunch of hybrid transmission options, meaning the hybrid drivetrain was stuck right inside of the transmission unit itself. One of those transmission units is for a 2.5-liter rear-wheel drive platform. Now, there's a lot of folks out there who are claiming the new Toyota Supra that has been caught in a lot of spy photographs is going to get somewhere around that displacement with a hybrid drivetrain. I kind of always bring a little bit of a question mark around that because this vehicle is being joint ventured with BMW and their new Z4 platform. I find it hard to believe that maybe BMW may be building a hybrid version of the Z4. That being said, that could be exactly what they're doing as well. But, hear me out. What if everyone's been clamoring for a GT86 Toyota 86 with more power? What if you went with a 2.5-liter flat 4 out of the Impreza RS, and then link that up with that hybrid drivetrain? That vehicle would easily make 300 horsepower, maybe 350, and would be well under the 400 to 500 horsepower that the Supra is supposed to make, which means that thing sits right in that verified air where it needs to be, and we finally get a high horsepower Toyota 86 GT86. Now, I know this is probably all just me being a lot of wishful thinking, but it really made me think when they talked about a rear drive 2.5-liter hybrid transmission. I really thought that may be what they were talking about. It might just me being just with a lot of wishful thinking. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiast. Don't forget to like us over on the Facebook page. Links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.